And you know what? I'm feeling really chatty, so I'm gonna do some dishes and chat with you. So, I am living now in the land of drying my dishes after washing them, which is something that I never even knew was a possibility until like 4 days ago, something like that. I was looking at my counter and I was like, I want more counter space. And the dishes were drying on the counter. There was the 2 towels. You know, I would always try to use 1 towel with the dish rack on top of it, like 1 dish towel underneath the dish rack and then have the dishes. But I always would have so many dishes, like, that I'd always throw another towel next to it to put more dishes on. You know what I'm saying? So then it's like the whole counter was just filled with dishes that were drying all the time. And I really wanted more counter space. And also, like, this side where the sink is, I want to let my kids chill here sometimes and be the kitchen supervisors because they really enjoy doing that. So I just put a blanket or a towel on top of the counter and I sanitize after and all that. You know, especially if I'm cooking for somebody or if I'm having a guest, I'm gonna do it extra good. You know what I mean? But you know, I like to keep it clean, so don't be thinking just because I have lizard booties up on my counter that I'm dirty, because I'm not. But so I said but lizard booties on my counter, but so I was looking at my counter and I was like, okay, well maybe I'll put the dishes over on that side because the stove is over on that side and I don't want the kids over on that side because the 4 pilot lights are always on, so the stove is always hot. That's just how it is. So there's these little things. They can hang out up there and then climb down here. You know, and they always wanna do the extra fun stuff, which is the stuff that's the most destructive and dangerous, is their idea of fun. So of course they're gonna wanna come down off of that perch and onto the counter. But on this side I have a sink. So if they wanna come down onto the side where the sink is, that's all good with me. They can just take a bath, you know, and get a little hydration. Then I don't even need to do the whole bathtub thing. Salty. No, I'm just kidding. I don't actually give them a bath in the kitchen sink, but I've got the sprayer here, so I could. But that's kind of gross. If they're, well, I mean, like if they're poopy, like if they have poop on them. But, so anyways, my thought process was, well, I'm going to take the thing with the dishes and like put it over there. Because there's like more counter space over there. I was like, I want to be able to food prep over here. This one's a little longer and it's higher, it's more ergonomically correct and all of that. I worked in an office for 10 years, so I know like a little bit about it. But so I put the dishes over there and I was like, okay, how is this gonna work when I do the dishes here and then I have to put them over there for them to dry, and then they'll sit there, you know, all day until the next morning when I'm rushing to feed my kids and putting them in the back in the cupboards and everything. So I was like, how's that gonna work? I'm gonna be taking wet dishes from the sink over to that counter, like they're gonna be dripping all over the floor. Should I just like put a towel down and not? I'm not high when I'm, you know, coming up with this. Is just, you know, this is just how I think. So I was like, well, the floor's gonna be all wet. Is this gonna work carrying dishes? Is it worth it to carry my dishes across the floor over there to put them on a rack to dry all day? So I was like, well, let me try it. Maybe worst case scenario, I'll just wipe the floor off after I do dishes. And usually I eat 1 meal a day, so I'm like, all right. And then I have my kids' dishes at the end of the day. So I'm like, well, you know, we'll see. We'll see. But then sometimes I snack. Whatever. So I'm sitting here in my mind trying to like limit myself, like, okay, well, you don't eat that You know, like you eat one meal a day, you just do dishes once or twice a day, like no big deal. Silly, right? But so I was like, let me just try it. Let me not judge it. Let me just try it first, because I want this counter space, because I want the kids to be able to come over here, and I want this whole counter to be dedicated to food prep. I don't want to have anything on it, because I don't like having stuff on the counter where I food prep, because little pieces of food and wetness can get underneath the stuff. So I like really was feeling like I want a whole clear counter. So that's the backstory on that. So I started trying doing the dishes and then bringing one over there. Actually, it was only a couple dishes, so I did it. And then I took a paper towel and I wiped the few drips off the floor. And I'm sitting here looking at the dishes and I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? I asked myself, what are you doing? And then this revelation came to me. You could just dry your dishes after you wash them and not have them on the counter at all. Boom. Never in my life. I've never done that. And I don't really know why. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm a little bit of a germaphobe and I think that it's good to air dry the dishes, you know? Like, instead of using a towel on them. I don't know. I've always just let them sit and drip and air dry. And I just never thought of actually, like, I remember, like, in middle school, when they did the home ec class. Oh, and I filled my sink with water the other day, too. That was another new thing. I'm doing all these new things. And I'm living in an apartment, and I'm doing all these new things now. I filled my sink with soapy water and did my dishes. Like, is that how most people do their dishes? I feel like it is, but I don't really know. I don't have a ton of people who I hang out with and do dishes. Like, you know what I mean? But usually I have my dishes and I just like wash them like I'm doing right now. Actually, I'm just letting the water run and I'm talking to you because I'm not really a multitasker. But yeah, usually I just do it like this. You know, where I just wash one at a time and then rinse, and then I would put them onto the dish rack, you know, wash one, rinse one, put it on the dish rack or the towel. And I actually prefer to do it this way. So I tried filling this whole sink with hot soapy water because I had a lot of dishes to do. And I was like, well, let me try this because I'm trying new things. So try it. So I tried it. And at first I was like, yeah, this is what's up. This is how it's done. This is like the regular way of doing dishes. And now I see why people do dishes like this, because it's so efficient. And look, I keep my cupboards open because, look, I'm drying these dishes. I got them all. Look at this. Oh, boom, right there. And then I just dry off the counter. This is my dish towel. This is my hand towel. This is my kid's dish towel. It's green, so that's how I keep them separate. And then I hang the towels right after so they dry right away, you know. So everything's good. But yeah, anyways, I filled my sink. And at first I was like really digging on it. I was like, yeah, this is really easy. But then I started to not know which dishes I had washed and which ones I hadn't washed. And there were sharp knives up in there at the bottom. You know, there was a bunch of forks and spoons all up buried in there like a buried treasure. Except you don't know which treasure is dirty and which treasure is clean. So it got a little too confusing, you know? Like, you know, I was picking up a spoon and I'm like, did I wash this one already? So I was trying to like wash them in the water and then put them over, like shove the ones I washed to the back because they were done and keep the ones, but there was just so much going on. I tried it, but I didn't prefer it. But drying these dishes, Oh my word, I'm loving drying these dishes. Like, it's amazing. Let me tell you about it. I always have my counter space, and I always have all my dishes on hand, and the cupboard's ready to go. So, it's great. And it's less to do later, you know? Like, if I want to make something, or in the morning, or when I watch my nephew, you know, usually, like, I'm not a morning person, so I will sleep until the last minute. And then I'll rush to do whatever I need to do, including feed my kids. I like to have them fed before 11 because their lights come on at 7. 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11. That's 4 hours where they're basking and warming up, which is good. But I think like 3 hours is when they really would start eating if I had their food in there at 10 a.m., which I'm trying to get back on that schedule of waking up early. Suyo's in the closet right now, so I have to be up. I mean, I don't have to, but I think he wakes up, like, I think he wakes up naturally at about 7. Juno is another story right now. I won't even get into that, but, so yeah, but that's my story now about the dishes. I live in the land of no dishes on the counter. Everything's ready for me. Every time I come into the kitchen, I ain't gotta do nothing. And it's really slick drying the dishes like this. And the counters are right above me here. Like, I have in this counter and in that counter above me are where my dishes are. Is where my dishes are. So it's really slick to just have them dry. Just put them right in there. Yeah. Digging it. So that's the story.